position.
And was there a particular manner in which you would attempt to recruit people for employment?
A lot of times referral, but I would use Craigslist sometimes.
And in April of 2013, did you place an ad on Craigslist looking for labor for your business?
I did.
Did you have any response or responses to that listing?
I did.
Approximately how many?
A dozen or so.
And as a result of that, did you meet with any of the individuals who had responded to your listing?
Probably a handful, maybe 4 or 5.
Do you recall meeting with an individual by the name of Odin Lloyd?
I do.
And how long after you had run your ad did you meet with Odin Lloyd?
Within a week.
And as a result of meeting with him, well, first of all, where did you meet with him?
In Norwood.
And just tell us about Odin Lloyd.
He came to the interview as we had designated, wore a tie, which was kind of unusual for someone applying for a labor position, and he had a resume.
When you say he had a resume, was that something that was usual in your business?
I guess not unusual, but probably about 50% of the candidates applying for a job like that would have a resume.
Now, as a result of then having this meeting with him, what happened?
I ended up hiring him.
And what position was he hired for?
General laborer, driver.
Okay. And approximately when did he start employment with your company?
I think it was sometime mid-April. I'm not sure.
Okay. And in the process of hiring, do you collect certain information? Do you have an employment application?
I do.
And did he prepare an employment application for possible employment?
Yes.
And
yes.
did he provide you certain information with regards to where he was from?
He did.
And where was he from?
Uh,
Okay. Sir, are you familiar with the distance of Norwood to Boston?
Yes.
Approximately how far is that?
10 miles, maybe.
Okay. And after you hired him, what time was the schedule that he would work?
We start at 7 a.m.
And when he started, how long did he work for you?
I think in total for about 2 months.
Okay. And just describe what kind of employee he was.
Yeah, he was somebody who was on time.
Okay. And what time would he arrive to work?
Usually about 10 of 7.
And did you ever see him how he was traveling to work?
He would arrive on a bicycle.
Okay. And during the course of this 2-month time frame, well, let me ask you this. On the employment application, did he provide you with any license for purpose of being able to drive?
Yes.
And what did you do when he provided you the license? What did you do with that?
I'd make a copy of it.
And what would you do with the copy?
I'd put it in his employee file.
Sir, first I'm going to just show you this item, ask you to take a look at it.
Okay.
Do you recognize it?
I do.
What do you recognize it to be?
Odin's driver's license.
Okay. Now, when he gave this to you, did you do anything with it?
I would have made a copy of it.
Okay, and I'm just going to show you this document. Do you recognize that?
I do.
And what is that?
It's a copy of his driver's license.
Okay, and is there some handwriting below the driver's license?
There is a telephone number in my handwriting.
Okay, and whose number was that?
I would imagine it's Odin's number that would go with his license.
Okay, and what is the number that you wrote below his license?
617-785-3008.
Thank Your Honor, I would offer the license is number 1 and this copy is number 2.
Your Honor, no objection to the copy. We would object to the foundation on the license.
The license may be marked. The original was not from this witness, right?
No, Your Honor.
At this time, the copy may be marked, not the original. That can be marked for identification.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No objection.
Thank you. Now, sir, how was it, what arrangements would you make for days when your employees were to work?
We'd usually have a schedule in the beginning of the week, but there were times where we'd have to amend that schedule depending on weather, things of that nature.
And I'd like to direct your attention to June 16th of 2013. Do you recall that being a Sunday?
I do.
And do you recall whether that was Father's Day?
I do. Yes, it was.
And on that date, what, if any, contact did you have with Odin Lloyd?
He texted me asking if we were working the next day.
Your Honor.
Objection sustained.
Okay. Did you have some contact with him? Yes or no?
I got a text from Odin's phone that asked me if he was
You
working.
haven't been asked what he asked, just only whether he contacted you.
Just yes
He
or no?
did,
Did he
yes.
contact you?
Yes.
And how did he contact you?
By text.
And as a result of that text, did you do something?
I text him back.
Okay. And what did you text him back?
I think just yes.
Okay. And did you have some understanding whether he was to work the following day, Monday, June 17th?
That's what yes meant.
Okay. And you've indicated earlier that he would arrive at a particular time at your business. Is that right?
Before 7 a.m.
Okay. Now, before 7 a.m. on Monday morning, June 17th, did he arrive before that time?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Sure. Monday morning, which would be June 17th, did Odin Lloyd arrive at your business?
No, he did not.
Was that unusual?
It was.
And as a result of that, did you do something?
I either called or texted him to ask where he was.
Did you get any response?
No.
Did you, the following day, June 18th, the Tuesday, did Odin Lloyd appear at work?
No.
Did you do something at that time to attempt to contact him?
I think the same thing.
Okay.
Tried to either text him or call him to ask what the story was. Was he coming in?
Now, sometime after making that second attempt, did you hear from somebody?
Yes. I believe Trooper King contacted me to ask me what my relationship was.
Move to strike.
Motion strike as to what Trooper King said to you.
Sir, just yes or no, did somebody contact you?
They did.
And who was that?
Trooper King.
Okay. Did you have a phone conversation with him?
I did.
And as a result of that, did you learn something?
I did.
And what was that?
That Odin had passed away.
Okay. I have no further questions.
No questions for this witness, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Mayor, Your Honor.
You may.
The Commonwealth would call Matthew Kent.
Raise your right hand.
Sir, do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give to this court and this jury will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
May I have a seat, sir?
Mayor. Good afternoon. Would you state your full name, please?
Matthew Kent,
How do you spell your last name, Matthew?
K-E-N-T,
And how old are you?
17.
And do you go to school?
Yes.
Where do you go to school?
Bishop Fee High School.
And where is Bishop Fee High School?
It is in Attleboro, Massachusetts,
Okay. How long have you attended that school?
for 3 years.
And what year are you currently in?
A junior.
Now, I'd like to direct your attention back almost 2 years ago to to June of 2013. You at Bishop Fee at that time?
Correct.
And what year were you in?
I was a freshman.
And if I directed your attention to June 17th, do you recall whether you were still in school or out of school?
I was still in school.
And do you recall when school ended that year?
The following day.
So June 18th?
Correct.
Now, did you go to school on June 17th?
Yes.
And sometime after school, did you have an appointment?
Yes.
And what was that appointment?
A doctor's appointment.
Okay. And did you attend that appointment?
Yes.
And after that, what did you do?
I went to the gym, Answers Fitness.
Okay, I'm sorry, the gym, what is the name of it?
Answers Fitness.
Answer is Fitness?
Correct.
And where is that located?
John Deach Boulevard.
And were you a member of that gym?
Yes.
How long had you been a member at that time?
2 months about.
Okay. And what was your purpose in joining the gym?
I train for my sports that I do.
And what sports are those?
Track and football.
Okay. What season were you in June of 2013?
End of track season.
Okay. And what type of events did you do?
Distance.
Is that distance running?
Yes.
Okay. So on June 17th, do you know approximately what time you went to the gym?
4 o'clock approximately.
Okay. And how long did you stay at the gym or do a workout for?
Around an hour.
Okay. Now, sometime after your hour workout, did you leave the gym?
Yes.
And when you left the gym, where were you heading?
Home.
And where is home? What street did you live on?
Homer Lane.
And Homer Lane is approximately how far from Answers Fitness, the gym you were working out at?
About 2 miles.
And how were you going to get home from the gym on that afternoon?
I was going to run.
Okay. And just tell us about the weather on that date. When you, at some point, you then left the gym?
Yes.
And what was the weather like?
It was sunny, just a typical day.
And when you say typical, temperature-wise?
Probably about like 70s.
Okay. And when you said you began running, where did you run?
I ran down John Deach Boulevard until I got to Chorus Landing, and then I went through the shortcut, which is like construction site.
Okay. And are you familiar where, well, with regard to Answers Fitness, is there an intersecting road nearby to John Deach Boulevard?
Yes.
And do you know what the name of that road is?
Robert Toner Boulevard, I believe.
Okay. And at Robert Toner Boulevard, is there another, is there a highway near there?
Yes.
And what highway is that?
95.
Have you traveled or been a passenger in a car traveling that area in the past or before June of 2013?
Yes.
How many times?
A lot of times.
Okay. Where is, you indicated Bishop Fee is in Attleboro?
Yes.
And where is Attleboro in relation to North Attleboro?
Just south.
And south, how do you travel from when you go to school every day to Bishop Fee?
I go down John Deach Boulevard, take a right onto Toner Boulevard, and a left onto North Ave.
Okay. Is that the most direct way to get to Route 95 from your home?
Yes, except you would take a left on Toner Boulevard.
Okay. And so, on this particular date, approximately what time did you leave the gym?
Around 5 o'clock?
Okay. And did you then begin your run?
Yes.
And as you ran, what direction on John Deach Boulevard were you running?
I went right out of the gym. I'm not sure what direction that is.
Okay. And
You may.
Sir, I'm just going to show you this document and ask you if you recognize it.
I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
John Deach Boulevard?
Okay. And does that include the areas that you were just talking about, where your gym is, Answers Fitness?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd offer this as the next exhibit.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Anybody? Next exhibit?
Your Honor, if I could use the overhead this time.
May.
Okay, sir, I'm just putting on what's now been marked exhibit number 2. Do you see that?
Yes.
Okay, you can look at the side one next to you. Is that the document I just showed you?
Yes.
You indicated that that reflects a location of Answers Fitness, is that right?
Correct.
And just if you would, where is that located on this document?
Marked by the letter A?
Okay, is that over here? I'm putting my pen down there.
Yes.
Now, when I asked you a few minutes ago about a highway, is that reflected in this document?
Yes.
And where is that?
Just right of Answers Fitness?
Okay. And is that Route 95?
Yes.
Now, does this map essentially show John Deach Boulevard?
Yes.
And where is that located?
Just left of Answers Fitness?
Okay, so along here?
Yes.
Okay, and a couple minutes ago when I asked you, when you came out of your gym, which direction did you go? Did you go right or left on John Deach Boulevard?
Right.
And when you went right, is that where you began your run?
Yes.
And how long did you run for?
Probably just under 10 minutes.
And in the direction now, moving from the bottom to the top of this map?
Yes.
And just describe that general area. What type of buildings and things are in that area?
It's a lot of industrial buildings, companies.
Are you familiar with the North Attleboro Industrial Park?
Yes.
Do you know whether this is, or any part of this is in the North Attleboro Industrial Park?
Yes.
Now, as you began to head up, at some point, you've indicated that you lived on Homeward Lane.
Yes.
And where is that reflected on this map?
The street off of Landry Ave.
Okay, and so is that located at the top of this document?
Yes.
And if I just, you indicated Landry Ave, is that shown right here?
Yes.
Now, where is Homeward Lane from there?
That's the street that's intersecting right by your pen.
Okay, so this one here?
Yes.
And when you were running, you lived some distance then up Homeward Lane?
Yes.
Okay. So as you ran up John Deach Boulevard, at some point did you take a shortcut?
Yes, at Chorus Landing.
Okay, and Corliss Landing is reflected where on this map?
Right where John Deach Boulevard turns
Okay, when you say turns to which direction?
toward the right.
Okay. So if I place my pen there, is that where you're referring to?
Yes.
Now, did you stay on the pavement or on John Deach Boulevard when you got to that location?
No.
Okay, where did you go?
I went straight, and it's a path that turns to gravel and then to dirt.
Okay, when you say there's a path, is there a business located when you went straight?
Yes.
And what's the name of that business?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know what Corliss Landing is?
Yeah, it's a group of businesses.
I see. And where is that?
It's right at that corner.
Okay, and right at the corner, I've got the pen right at that spot. Where is it from that location?
Just left to your pen.
Just left. Over in here?
Yes.
Okay. When you say it's a group of businesses, do you know how many businesses are in there?
I believe 2 or 3.
And do you know, where did you go once you went off John Deach Boulevard into this area of Corliss Landing? What direction did you head?
I continue to go straight.
Okay, when you continued to go straight, just describe the area that you were going into.
Turns from pavement to gravel and dirt.
Okay. And what was the area used for, if you know?
I think it was some sort of construction site.
Okay. When you say construction site, what types of things were in that area?
There were piles of dirt all around.
Were there any buildings or improvements in that area?
No.
How long did you then travel after leaving John Deach Boulevard? How long did you travel in that direction?
Probably another 200 yards.
Okay. And did you see something at that time?
Yes.
And what did you see?
I saw a man laying on his back.
Did that cause you to stop running?
Yes.
And what did you do after you saw a man lying on his back?
I went over to him and asked him if he was all right.
And when you asked him if he was all right, what, if any, response did you get?
I got no response.
Tell us, how were you feeling at that time?
I was concerned.
And so as a result of feeling concerned, did you do anything else?
I asked him again if he was all right.
Okay. Any response the second time you asked him?
No.
Okay. How close did you get to this man?
Probably around 20 feet.
And when you got within 20 feet, were you able to see, to have a better view of him?
Yes.
And after asking him if he was okay, getting no response 2 times, what did you do?
I ran up to one of the businesses in Corliss Landing.
Okay, and which business did you run up to?
I don't recall the name.
Okay. And how fast did you run up to these businesses?
Faster than a jog.
Okay. And tell us, what did you do once you ran up to these businesses?
I knocked on the door because it was locked.
Okay. Approximately what time was it when you went up to this business, if you know?
5:20.
And when you say you knocked, just tell us about how you knocked.
Just a normal knock.
Okay. Did anyone respond?
Yes.
And who responded?
A man that worked there.
Okay. And as a result of that, was the door opened for you?
Yes.
And when it was opened for you, did you have, just yes or no, did you have a conversation with this man?
Yes.
And as a result of that, what did this man do?
He got another employee.
Okay. And was this other employee a man or a woman?
A man.
And then what happened from there?
Both the men came back to the person that I found.
Okay. And how did you go back down to this person that you had found?
The same way that I'd gone before, down the path.
Okay. Who was leading whom?
I was leading.
And did these individuals stay with you?
Yes.
Okay. The second time now you're down to where you saw this individual, how close did you get at that time?
Same as last time, about 20 feet.
Okay. And did you see anyone else go any closer than that distance that you were away?
No.
What happened after that?
One of the men that came down with me just said he's dead, and
Okay. So not what was said. Did you see that one of the gentlemen do something?
yes.
And what did you see him do?
He took out his cell phone.
Okay. And did just describe what he did with the cell phone.
He called the police.
And sometime after making a phone call, did anybody else come to the scene?
Yes.
Who else came?
Police.
And when, how long after that call was made did the police come?
Several minutes.
And approximately how many police officers came?
There were quite a few.
And do you know whether they were traveling in marked or unmarked cars?
First marked cars, then unmarked came.
Do you know whether any other emergency service individuals or vehicles also came to the scene?
I do not remember.
Okay. After you had made this observation of this gentleman making a phone call, where did yourself and these other two men go?
We walked back up to the top of the path to wait for the police,
Okay. And when you say the top of the path, where is that in relation to John Deach Boulevard?
closer to John Deach Boulevard.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you a series of photographs and ask you if you recognize them. That first photograph, do you recognize that?
Yes,
What do you recognize that to be?
Chorus Landing,
Okay. And what part of Corliss Landing is it?
the entrance,
Okay. And where would John Deach be in regard to that entrance?
on the left-hand side of the photo.
Okay. Second photograph I'm going to show you, do you recognize that?
Yes,
And what is that?
that's like looking into the construction site area.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat that?
Looking into the construction site area.
Okay, and looking into the construction site, what side is that?
That's the side near John Deach Boulevard.
Okay. I'll show you this third photograph. Do you recognize that?
Yes,
And what do you recognize that to be?
the path and the person I discovered.
I'm sorry, the person.
I discovered.
And does that show that individual at some distance?
Yes,
Okay. And you could you generally, actually, let me just show you one more. Let me show you this next picture. Do you recognize that?
yes,
And what do you recognize that to be?
the man I discovered.
Okay, is that just a closer up picture?
Yes,
Now, you indicated that you then headed back after trying to get some response. Is that right?
yes,
I'm going to show you this next picture. Do you recognize that?
yes.
And what does that depict?
That's the entrance to where the path changes from pavement to dirt and gravel,
And in which direction is this looking at?
looking towards Landry Ave. Oh, no, excuse me, looking out towards John Deach Boulevard.
Okay. Do you recognize this next picture I'm showing you?
Yes,
Okay, and what do you recognize that to be?
the business that I went to for help, it's looking at the back of the business.
Okay. And the last one I'm going to show you, do you recognize that as well?
Yes,
And what does that depict?
the entrance of the path.
Okay. And do all of these photographs fairly and accurately portray the scene as you had seen it back on June 17th of 2013?
They do.
Your Honor, if I could have these marked, it's the next exhibits.
No objection, Your Honor.
They match the next exhibit?
Your Honor, would you prefer 3A, B, C?
That's fine.
There are 7 photographs.
Three A through 3G.
If I could, Your Honor, use the overhead.
May.
So I'm placing what's now been marked as Exhibit 3A on the overhead. Is that the photograph I showed you earlier?
Yes.
You indicated this depicts what area?
Corals Landing.
Sorry. Excuse me. May I have a moment? Look. Okay, sir, you indicated that this was at the entrance of Corliss Landing?
Correct.
And where's John Deach Boulevard?
To the left-hand portion of the photograph.
And the business that you referred to, the building that ultimately you ran to, is that depicted?
Yes.
And where is that?
It's behind the sign that says Corals Landing.
So over in here.
Yes.
Now, placing what's been marked as number 3B. What is this exhibit show?
The entrance to the construction site.
And the construction site, when you referred to the road that you had begun running down, where is that in this photograph?
The bottom left-hand corner.
And that, this being June, was just describe the vegetation that was in this area.
There are a lot of trees and weeds on the ground.
And when you were down in that area, were you able to see any homes or any other businesses?
No.
I'm placing what was marked as 3C. Sir, does that depict the scene that you, of this individual that when you first took notice of him?
Yes.
And just if you could describe, what was the surface of the ground like in this area?
It was dirt and gravel.
And with regard to what you described as a construction type site, and you described piles, do you see any of those piles in this photograph?
Yes.
Okay. And just indicate where those appearing?
Just above the man in the picture in the top.
And do you know whether there were other piles that prior to where this man, where you observed the man on the ground?
Yes.
Okay, where were they located?
They were like off the picture to the left.
Now, as you approached, did you notice any markings or any of the ground that appeared to be disturbed?
Yes.
Okay, and where did you notice that?
I noticed tire tracks.
And is that shown in this photograph?
Yes.
And just point, if you would, to that area.
Down here.
I'm just going to try and move to where you're pointing. Is that this area here?
Yes.
How long a tire track were you able to observe?
I'm not sure.
Okay, just if you could give us just a rough estimate.
Maybe like 30 feet.
And with regard to this this man who is now depicted in the photograph, did you see any other items near where he lay?
Yes.
And just describe, what did you see?
I saw below his feet a white rag, and above his head a red baseball hat.
Okay, and those items shown in this photograph?
Yes.
Okay, and just if you would point them, and I'll just try and track.
Hat's up here,
That's right there.
and the rag is down there.
Down, I'm sorry.
I don't think you can really see it in this picture.
Okay, if I directed your attention over to this area, do you see anything where you're sitting? Or from
Yeah.
your position?
Yes.
Do you recall what that item was?
That's the white rag that I saw.
Now, when you first had come running down this were entering in Corliss, how far into Corliss Landing did the surface, the road surface, change?
About 100 yards.
And when it changed, what did it go from what to what?
Pavement to gravel and dirt.
And once it turned to gravel to dirt, was that then consistent or continuing there into this property?
Yes.
And when you were running, had you ever run through this property before?
Yes.
Had you ever seen any activity or individuals in this area?
No.
And on this particular day, as you ran through, what was your intended course before you stopped to ask this man if he was okay?
I was going to continue going straight through the construction site until it intersects with Landry Avenue.
But as you ran down, just with regard to this photograph, can you tell us the path that you were following before you ultimately stopped to try and rouse this individual?
I would be running to the right of the second pile.
Okay, the right of the second pile. And is the second pile this area here?
Yes.
So when you're saying to the right, over, continuing on a path down that way?
Yes.
And you indicated that when you saw this gentleman, you stopped.
Yes.
And there was some distance between yourself and where his body lay.
Yes.
And how, just tell us roughly where were you when you stopped and called out to him the 2 times?
I was to the right of him.
Okay, when you say to the right, could you just point to that general area?
Down here.
I'm sorry, could you just hold your hand there so I can make sure
Yeah.
it's tracking where you're pointing? You're showing right down here, sir?
Yes.
Okay. How long would you say you were down there the first time before you went to Sun's Help?
About a minute.
Now, at some point, you indicate you observed this hat. Did you ever do anything to disturb any area around the body or any of these other items?
No.
Did you ever see anybody, when these other 2 gentlemen accompanied you back, did you ever see them do anything going to the body or disturbing any of the any items?
No.
How close did they get?
Around 20 feet.
Was it any different than the distance that you were from
No.
this individual?
No.
And was it in any different position than you were? Were they someplace not to the right of this man?
We were all to the right, but we were closer to his head. I was closer to his feet.
Okay. And so what distance was there between yourself and these other 2 men when you all were had come back to where he was lying?
We were all pretty close together.
Sir, is this a gentleman that you observed in that area?
Yes.
And does this, and I beg your pardon, Exhibit 3D, and that shows the position of his body. Is that true?
Yes.
And the hat that you described, approximately how far was that above his head?
10 feet.
And at some point, you and I met today. Is that true?
Yes.
Did I ask you about? Do you remember the kind of hat it was?
Yes.
And what did you say?
Red Sox hat?
Okay, but prior to that, did you recall it as some different team?
Yes.
And what team did you think it was?
Cincinnati Reds.
Okay, and what made you think that?
Because the white on it looked like a C.
I see. And then you had an opportunity to look at the photograph,
Yes.
and is this the same hat that you observed, or is that refresh your memory, that it was a Boston Red Sox hat?
Yes.
Now, after you described them leaving the body, you went up to the business?
Yes.
And I'm just going to put on the overhead now, 3E. And what does this picture show? What direction?
Looking towards John Deach Boulevard.
Okay, and did you head out this way?
No.
Okay, when you went back towards the business, what way did you go?
To the right, and I cut up through the grass to the
Okay, and
building.
if you just point again, and I'll,
To the right.
you're indicating over in here?
Yeah, you can't see it on the photograph.
Okay. I'm just going to then show you what's marked 3F. Does that show the area where you ran up to the business?
Yes.
Okay, and just point that out if you would. Right in this area?
Yes.
And that portrayed the vegetation between the building and this site at that time. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And the last photograph, marked 3G, does that show that, that roadway that you've described?
Yes.
And does it also show the area that you've described between the gravel, where it became gravelly?
Yes.
Now, sir, at that time you indicated you were training for track or running.
Yes.
Were you wearing certain shoes on that date?
Yes.
And what type of shoes were you wearing?
Nike?
And later on, did the, within a day or two of this, did you receive a call from the police?
Yes.
As a result of that call, did you go somewhere?
Yes.
Where did you go?
The police station in North Attleboro.
Did you bring anything with you?
I brought my shoes.
And what did you do with your shoes, or what happened to your shoes?
The police told me they took pictures of them.
Okay. Approach, Your Honor. Sir, I'm just going to show you 3 photographs. Ask you if you recognize them. Do you recognize that first photo?
Yes.
What do you recognize that to be?
The shoes I was wearing.
This next photograph,
Yes.
what does that depict?
The bottom of the shoe.
Okay. And is that a right or left?
A right.
And then this third photograph, recognize that?
Yes.
What does that show?
The bottom of the left shoe.
Okay. And does this fairly and accurately portray the conditions of your shoes the day you went to the police station?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd offer these as the next exhibit.
No objection.
We marked as the next exhibit.
Or A through C.
Thank you. And first go ahead. Me. So I'm placing now it's mark 4A on the overhead. Is that a picture of your shoes?
Yes.
4B, is that a picture of the sole of the right shoe?
Yes.
4C, that depicts the other shoe, the left.
Yes.
And do you recall what size shoes you were wearing at that time?
13.
I'm sorry?
13.
Now, sir, at some point when you were there, well, let me ask you this. After you had gone, a phone call was made and you went back up, where did you go?
After the phone call was made,
Yes.
we went to the top of the path.
Okay, and just describe, when you say the top of the path, is there a parking area or some area in that vicinity?
Yes, we went to the section of the path that was paved.
Okay. And as officers, a certain number of officers arrived.
Yes.
Did you have any conversation with any of those officers?
Yes.
As a result of that, did you do anything?
Yes.
And what was that?
They had me, the police had me write down a statement.
Okay. And after you had done that, did you ultimately make a phone call to somebody?
Yes.
And who was that?
My father.
And after making that phone call, at some point did your father arrive at the scene?
Yes.
And then at some point later, did you and your father leave the scene?
Yes.
Now, after you had left the scene, where did you go?
Home.
And how long were you at home for?
Approximately 20 minutes.
And then did either yourself or your father receive a phone call?
Yes.
And as a result of that call, where did you go?
We returned to the scene, Chorus Landing.
Okay. And when you returned back to the scene, did you have a just yes or no, a further conversation with somebody?
Yes.
Now, approximately how long from the time that you had actually discovered this man lying in that area till when you were now back at the scene, having gone home and returning?
About an hour.
Okay. And had the weather changed in any way?
Yes.
And just describe what you observed.
It changed from being sunny to cloudy, windy, and it began to rain.
Okay. And when you say it began to rain, how hard did it begin to rain?
Significantly hard.
I'm sorry?
Pretty hard.
And so as a result of it beginning to rain, did you do anything?
Yes.
And what did you do?
We sat in the car.
And do you recall how long you continued to remain at the scene?
About 20 more minutes.
Okay. And then after that, did you go somewhere?
Yes.
Where was that?
Home.
Okay. And approximately, and when you left, was it still raining?
Yes.
Now, approximately from where you discovered this man lying on his back, how much farther had you been able, or had you continued from that point on your run to your house? How much farther would that have been?
A little over a half mile.
Okay. And are you familiar that previously I had asked you about, well, let me just withdraw that for a second. That while you were at the scene, you described that hat that was above the head, is that right?
Yes.
Approach. I'm just going to show you this item. Do you recognize it?
Yes.
What do you recognize this to be?
The hat that I saw at the scene?
Okay. Is it in substantially the same condition as when you saw it?
Yes.
Your Honor, I'd offer this as an exhibit.
Yes, Your Honor.
Here, Max, next exhibit.
Is it 5?
Your Honor, if I could approach the overhead again. So I'm just going to place exhibit number 2 back on the overhead. A moment ago, I was asking you about your intended course when you were running through this area here. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, where does that come out? Had you continued, where would you have come out on Landry Avenue?
Right there?
Right there, and I'm just going to place this, is that roughly that area?
Yes.
Okay, so near where the E is?
Yes.
Okay. And then from there, how do you get to your home?
You go left on Landry Ave?
So left, is that shown in this direction on this map?
Correct.
And where do you go from there?
Take the right on the first street.
Okay, and what is this street?
Homeward Lane?
Okay. And then at some distance up there is your home?
Yes.
Okay. Are you familiar with Ronald C. Meyer Drive or Lane?
Yes.
Okay, and where is that in relation to if you were moving up now Homeward Lane?
It's the first left, I believe.
First left. Approximately, now, it's fair to say it's not shown on this
Yes.
exhibit, right? How far beyond where it cuts off here?
half mile around.
Do you think it's that far?
Yes.
If I could have one moment, Your Honor. That, the purpose of you, can you just describe the purpose of you going through that area on that date?
It makes the run home from the gym shorter. By going that way, you don't have to go around. You don't have to continue on John Deach Boulevard to get to Landry Ave.
And just, I'm going to put number 2 back on the overhead. Had you not cut through that area, just describe how, if you had stayed on John Deach, how would you have gone?
I would have continued down John Deach, then gone left here and intersected with Landry up here.
Okay, so down, this is continuing to be John Deach.
Yes.
You indicate left here.
Yes.
Is this still John Deach Boulevard?
I believe so.
And then once you get up here, what is that?
Landry Ave.
Okay, and that's where you would take a
Left.
left. That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So, you indicated that your intention was to cut through Corliss Landing and turn left on Landry Boulevard, is that right?
Correct.
And then you would take the first right, which would be Homeward Lane,
Correct.
and you live further up that street?
Correct.
And I think the Exhibit 2 that Mr. McCauley was showing you doesn't go up very far on Homeward Lane, is that right?
Correct.
And I think you said that Ronald C. Meyer Drive was the first street off of Homeward Lane on the left. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
And that wasn't shown on Exhibit 2, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recognize what's depicted in that photograph?
Yes.
And is that a photograph of Corliss Landing, the construction area that you were testifying about?
Yes.
And does that also show some of the streets we've been talking about?
Yes.
I'd offer this as next to
No objection, Your Honor. Next for that.
Now, can you see what's depicted there?
Yes.
So, this area of brown dirt right in here, do you see that?
Yes.
Is that the construction area that you were talking about in direct examination?
Yes.
And do you see a red item in that construction area?
Yes.
And is that just beyond the paved part of the road into the construction area?
Yes.
And then you see some grassy mounds in the construction area?
Yes.
And so is this one of the grassy mounds?
Yes.
And then there's one here,
Yes.
and there's a couple over here.
Correct.
And when you were talking about your intended path, I think you said you were intending to go to the right of some of the mounds. Is that right?
Yes.
And would that take you on a path like I'm depicting with my pen?
Yes.
So you'd be kind of going in between the mounds that are shown in the photograph, right?
Yes.
And then you would come out on Landry Avenue, correct?
Correct.
And Landry Avenue runs here.
Correct.
And so you mentioned John L. Beach Boulevard. I'm correct in understanding that your path from your gym took you in this direction, and instead of turning a sharp right on John L. Deach Boulevard, you went straight into the construction site.
Yes.
And the building that you wound up going into for assistance was here on the left, right?
Yes.
And your path, if you had chosen to stay on the roadway, you would have turned right on John L. Deach and followed it around in this fashion till you catch Landry Boulevard here. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you see where your street is on this photograph?
Yes.
And that would be here.
Correct.
And I think you said that Ronald C. Meyer Drive was the first street on the left?
Yes.
And is that, it's hard to see, but is that essentially here?
Yes.
And you see a couple of houses in this area?
Yes.
And you know that Mr. Hernandez lived in your neighborhood, is that fair?
Yes.
And is it your belief that his house was in that area there on Ronald C. Meyer Drive?
Yes.
And you would continue a little bit further up in this area where your house is?
Yes.
Correct? Now, I think you said that when you were running at about 5 o'clock, is that when you began to run?
Yes.
That it was rainy, it's sunny?
Yes.
And then you said by the time you came back with your dad, it was pouring?
Yes.
So, showing you Exhibit 3A, that's the kind of intersection of the entrance to Corliss Landing and where John L. Deitch takes the sharp right. Is that right?
Correct.
And then showing you the next picture, 3B, that shows a little further into the paved part of Corliss Landing, fair?
Yes.
And do you see moisture and dirt, and rainwater there?
Yes.
Seems like these pictures were taken after the rain had fallen.
Yes.
And I think you said that you saw the hat, which has been marked as an exhibit, above Mr. Lloyd's head. Is that right?
Yes.
On the ground. And there was a towel a few feet away, and that's shown in one of these pictures. Is that right?
Correct.
And was there also a white plastic bag near the towel?
Yes, I believe so.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
You remember you were interviewed by the police that afternoon and evening, right?
Yes.
2 different police officers.
Yes.
And then a few days later, you came back to the North Attleboro Police Department and were interviewed on tape by an officer who you had met at the scene, right?
Yes.
He was the first one there.
Yes.
And you were there when he went over to the body to check for a pulse, correct?
Yes.
And so you told him about the white plastic bag that was near the white towel, correct?
Yes.
And is that depicted in any of the photographs? Let me show you Exhibit 3C. Can you see 2 objects that are kind of white on the right edge of that photograph?
Yes.
And is the one that's closer to the body the towel?
Yes, I believe that's towel.
And the plastic bag is to the right of that?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you said that the officer who was first there, you and the 2 men that had come out of the building decided to walk up closer to the entrance so the police would know where you were?
Yes.
And did both of the men stay there, or one of them went back into the building?
One of them went back into the building.
So it was you and one of the men from the building?
Yes.
And when the officer arrived, do you remember his name?
I don't remember.
When he arrived, you and the other gentleman you'd been waiting with and the officer walked down into the area, the construction area.
No, just the officer.
The officer walked down there. You pointed out to him where you had observed something.
Yes.
And he went down there. And you saw him look at the body, feel for a pulse, and then he came back.
Yes.
And I take it shortly after that, I think you said that a lot of police arrived,
Yes.
and that was plainclothesmen and marked cruisers.
Correct.
And you remained at the scene for about how long?
20 minutes.
And what did you observe in those 20 minutes?
I observed a lot of police showing up, and I was interviewed by an officer.
And what did you see the police doing after they showed up?
They set up a tent over the body, and that's all I remember.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. And just to recognize what's depicted here,
Yes.
and is that a photograph of the layout of the streets?
Yes.
And that shows Landry Avenue and John Deach Boulevard and Homeward Lane
Correct.
and the construction area?
Correct.
I'd offer this, Your Honor.
No objection, Your Honor.
Mark, next exhibit.
Your Honor, I just noticed there's some handwriting on the back of that. Can we substitute
Sure.
a clean copy after?
Definitely.
So can you see that?
Yes.
And the construction area is in this area,
Correct.
and this is the path that's partially paved and partially gravel.
Yes.
And this is where John L. Deach Boulevard takes a sharp right,
Correct.
and then it turns again to the left,
Yes.
and it unites with Landry Avenue.
Yes.
And then this is your street,
Yes.
labeled Homeward Lane.
Yes.
And then you can see where Ronald C. Meyer Drive intersects.
Correct.
Those are all the questions I have. Thank you, Mr. Kemp.
Just a couple follow-ups, Your Honor. Sir, Mr. Rankin asked you a couple questions about a plastic bag, or what you had described as a plastic bag.
Yes.
How close did you actually get to see that item that you thought looked like a plastic bag?
I wasn't very close to it.
Okay, when you say not very close, how far?
20, 30 feet.
Okay, you tell me when we're 20 to 30 feet away from each other, or if I have to come closer.
A little closer.
Okay,
You're around there.
okay. And so, where was that in relation to where you saw this gentleman on his back in that area?
It was below his feet.
I couldn't run you.
Ma'am.
And is that area, sir, reflected in this photograph?
Yes.
Okay, and just point it out, and I'll put my pen where you're pointing. Okay, right here?
Yes.
Now, I think earlier you had indicated your position, and if you could just show me while I'm holding this pen where you were.
Around here?
Okay, so you're around here?
Yes.
Okay. So that's where you're observing what you think is a white plastic bag?
Yes.
Did you ever go any closer to actually inspect that item?
No.
And do you know if that item was actually loose or connected to something? Could you tell?
I'm not sure.
So Mr. Rankin also asked you some questions about when you came back with regard to the rain, whether there was anything that you observed, and you said there was something put over the body?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've just put on the, and I beg your pardon, the last exhibit I had referred to as 3C, and now I'm putting on 3G. Just going to... So, first of all, this shows a picture looking in what direction?
Toward Landry Ave?
Okay. And at some point when you had come back and it had been raining, were you in this area, meaning the toward the front of this picture?
Yes.
Okay. And you said you observed something that they had placed over the body?
Yes.
Okay. Is that shown in this photograph?
Yes. By the red?
The red. And is there something under this? When you say the red, just tell me what you see as the red in this area.
The tent here. And underneath it.
Okay. Do you know what was underneath it?
No.
Do you know if any where the body was at that time?
I believe it was underneath it.
Okay. And do you see any other canopy type item in this picture?
Yes.
And where is that?
The white tent.
You're indicating here?
Yes.
And do you see anybody around that?
There's a man underneath it.
Do you know, and do you see something, let me just zoom out here. Do you see something along the roadway at that time near that white canopy?
Yes.
What is that?
I'm not sure what that is.
Okay, do you know what color that is?
Yellow?
Did you ever see whether the area was secured in any fashion?
I believe they put up like caution tape.
And while once you had come back, or even while you had been there the first time, what, if any, people did you see in that area where the white canopy and that yellow item was caution?
Just police officers.
Okay. Thank you, that's all I have.
Nothing further on.
Thank you. And you may step down. Does it make sense to...
Yes, Your Honor, that would be appreciated. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stop a few minutes early today. Instead of putting on a witness and just having basically you get the name of the witness. Before I excuse you, I'm going to give you some brief instructions, nothing new. Keep your mind suspended. In other words, keep an open mind. Don't communicate by any means to anyone, each other, family, friends, strangers, the media, co-workers, your employer, anything at all about this case or Mr. Hernandez or anything that might in any way be relevant to this case. Do not read, watch, look at, or listen to any accounts of any aspect of this case or anything that could be relevant in any way to this case or anything about Mr. Hernandez in any news media outlet or social media, including but not limited to Facebook or any other source. I recognize that this may be difficult. I'd ask that you try your very best to avoid anything, be inventive and be vigilant. For example, you can ask someone, if you read a newspaper or magazine, to cut out anything that could be in the magazine or to look at your Facebook page or an internet site before you do. Do not conduct any investigation on the internet or in social media or by any other means into any aspect of this case. Try to get information on your own about the case or do any research about the case or anything you think might be relevant to the case or to Mr. Hernandez. Please be at the parking lot between 8:15 and 8:30. We cannot stop without all of you. Have a good evening. Thank you. Mark, so you think it's left?
I could hear at the time that I was talking about this.
There's no filming. There is no filming.